Are you ready? Okay. Good evening. I'd like to call the study session of City of North Augusta Council for Monday, May the 8th, 2023 to order. And before I turn it over to our city administrator, I want to welcome our newest council member, Mr. David Buck. And David, you thought that the election, you thought the oath made it official. It's not official till you got your nameplate, and you got it. You know, it's kind of like that old movie, if y'all remember Steve Martin in The Jerk, and he said he didn't become important until he got his name in the phone book. That's where you go now. Okay, anyway, welcome. So with that, I'll turn it over to our city administrator in Clifford.
Mr. Mayor and Council, we've got 3 items for tonight. One will be the review of the agenda for next week's City Council meeting, which will be fairly short. We'll have department details. And then we have, under Mayor's Matters, focus items are really combined. It's concerning the public safety building. And we have a number of nonprofits that are here this evening to talk about a potential option to have them occupy that building as we move the public safety headquarters and associated elements up the hill. But I'll go ahead and start, if you don't mind, on the City Council meeting. And you'll have 2 proclamations. One will be national, at least for the Mayor and Council, National Police Week, May 14th through the 20th, and then also National Public Work Week, May 21st through the 27th, and our previously scheduled Employee of the Quarter recognition, which was supposed to happen at the last council meeting, will be happening next week for Ms. Lauren Wirtz. Moving into old business, under administration, ordinance number 2023-10, authorizing the city to enter into a lease agreement with Sable Designs Limited Company and IRA FBO, William Lance Jones, IRA LLC, related to property consisting of approximately 0.62 acres known as tax map and parcel number 007-1301-006, second reading. So Kelly did a great job of explaining what this is. This really has to do with allowance for organization to use city land for parking for an aspect over by Hammond's Ferry. And I will kick it over to Kelly just in case there are any other questions from council for tonight, but I think he explained it pretty well in detail at the previous study sessions.
I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Kelly, just reiterate again that the fact that based on that property, there's not a lot of flexible space. So
No, there's
limited. So
yeah.
This really is.
There are overhead wires, so you limited whether you can build anything there. And I think that maybe in the area that they were thinking was an indent burial ground or something where you can't disturb the soil more than 18 inches deep or something like that. So it appears it's a parking lot.
This opens us up to have a number of days throughout the year that we can use that for our citizens for parking.
Right.
Okay, very good.
So to any additional questions, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 8 under planning and development. And this will be ordinance number 2022-12 to amend the zoning map of the city of North Augusta, South Carolina by rezoning plus or minus 10.73 acres of land owned by R. Greg Kenrick and Jimmy L. Martin, Aiken County tax parcels 001-15-02-002 and 001-19-03-001 from PD Plan Development to TC Thoroughfare Commercial, removed from table first reading. And if the council will recall, this is an item that was brought to council after having gone through Planning Commission, and this is for a parcel of map to orient you and the folks back home. This is really, if you're looking at the Interstate I-20 Exit 1 corridor there, if you look at the northwest corner of that intersection between Martintown Road and Interstate 20, it's in that corner of the parcel. So north of I-20 and just to the left of Martintown Road is the parcel that we're talking about that's directly connected to the interstate into Martintown. And so I'm going to have Tommy Paradise come up since he's most familiar with this particular topic and be able to talk to you all about kind of what the impacts are of what thoroughfare commercial kind of allows for. And again, to remind the council, this is not about a specific business going into a parcel. This is specifically to zone, to go through the range of options so the property owner would have a lot of different options going forward, at least with thoroughfare commercial. So I'll bring Tommy up to the podium and I will punt it over to him for any comments and then over to you all for questions.
Mr. Mayor. Questions? The thoroughfare commercial is, to read it out of the code, is basically a purpose to accommodate commercial, light industrial, warehouse, and distribution. It needs the high-volume highway traffic. They usually depend on a commercial market. And commercial uses of this nature, and I'm reading this from the code, commercial uses of this nature are detrimental to residential neighborhoods and professional commercial zones, and accordingly are limited to areas of the community where traffic volumes are the highest. And of course, Martintown Road is probably one of the highest volumes we have, but it's also, there's a difference, there's a lot of things going on there. You did, and I know Mr. Clifford said it wasn't about a specific entity going there. Council did table it for a traffic impact analysis. I don't know if y'all have seen that or not, but I remember they would generate about 4,220 new trips a day. Out of that, about 30%, or 1,266 would be trucks. So I just remember one of the council members wanting to know how many trucks coming in and out.
So that is still in play?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So for the
That's my
council,
knowledge.
if
Yeah, so it's not just that. I mean, the intention is if we approve it, then that hadn't changed. That was my next question is, okay.
with thoroughfare commercial versus general commercial, you're going to see more, the option for more truck traffic. You know, the concern that the staff has is that we have a lot of residential feeder into, from Bergen Road and from Gregory Lake Road onto Martintown, combined with, a thoroughfare commercial entity, whatever that may be, with the ability to bring in that kind of high volume truck traffic is of concern.
That's what I'm saying. Nothing has changed as far as it's not, hey, I just want to get it that way to give more flexibility. It's still on the table for the truck stop to go there.
That's my understanding, yes, sir. And if not, I think there's something else similar that's lined up behind it. But, a general commercial, some of the differences there is general commercial, you have a lot of heavy commercial, regional, commercial and that generates a good bit of traffic. But I look at general commercial and I think about shopping centers and that type of thing, and they usually back up a lot of times to your residential and are, of course you don't put it in the middle, but they're there to service the residential and that type of thing.
Well, the thing, I'm not sure if you read or not, but in the thoroughfare commercial, the line that I underlined was, that is characterized by bright and intensive signage designed to gain attention of passing motorists.
I skipped over that one, yes, sir.
Okay.
And that also could be a car dealership, because isn't that what we zoned the key and all for? And I think that was our concerns, was the fact that, the guy came here, they said, well, we don't know if we're going to build here, but if we change that, there's no taking it back. And that's what I'm a little leery of.
Are we going to get that traffic study sent to us before that? Will we get that? I mean, I hadn't seen it.
I'll make sure that the clerk gets it, and then she can get that to y'all.
Okay, that'd be good.
But you're right on the car dealers. When you say thoroughfare commercial, that's what I think of. That is typically what we see there. Jefferson Davis Highway is the thoroughfare commercial corridor.
And for council, before next week, if you pull up our development code Article 3, it's actually page 3-13 to about 3-23. And general commercial is right next to thoroughfare commercial, and you can kind of go right down the line and see the P's and the C's and the dashes. So it might benefit everybody to take a look at that, just so you have some ideas before next week.
Now, did he ask for thoroughfare when he was here months ago?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
And
but
the
I thought
reason-
they were gonna go back and try to change a little something to make it a better, especially for the neighbors.
Traffic study.
So nothing's really changed.
No, ma'am. The thoroughfare commercial was so that they could do truck repairs. Under general commercial, they would not be able to do truck repairs.
Is there any, not saying that, is there any conversation, or are they open to general commercial law, or are they just, they have one thing in their mind and it's thoroughfare commercial because it fits what they could sell the
Yeah.
property?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Tommy, is,
Yes, sir.
so, correct me if I'm wrong, at this time, there's only one other thoroughfare commercial property within that vicinity, and it's the one that's west on Bergen Road that was rezoned back in 2015. Pretty much everything else adjacent is either, I guess, reserved because that nature preserve is adjacent to it, residential or general commercial.
Correct.
I think one of the other things too was, if we were going to vote for this, that the guy that was here, they would deal with DOT, with the traffic cuts and all of that. Is that still in play? Or if we rezone this, then is it up to whatever they want to do?
Well, it's up to whatever they want to do. The traffic study, and I go back to that particular use, which you shouldn't do, but it's the elephant in the room, so. They recommended, signalization of the westbound exit of I-20, and they recommended the signalization of Martintown and Gregory Lake, but not by them. Their recommendations for the site was to provide a minimum 100-foot eastbound right turn lane from Bergen Road to Martintown Road, extend a northbound left turn storage from 100 to 200 feet. Use a minimum driveway of radii of 50 feet, with Bergen Road being a non-through, reduce the speed to 35 to 40 miles an hour. I like this one. Minimize landscaping using a low-growing vegetation and signing at the proposed driveway access to ensure safe site distance is maintained. So that was the recommendations for their TIA for improvements. And I would say, remind you that once you rezone it, you don't have another bite. No offense, but you don't have another bite at the apple. It would go to the planning commission from here.
Yeah, and I think that's the key to me is, not that what the planned use of it is currently is ideal, but, my thoughts are really outside of that. That, to me, as much traffic as there is on Martintown Road, which is part of the reason I think this is a bad idea to increase that traffic load, especially the type of traffic that we're talking to. At best, that's a general commercial thoroughfare. It's not a thoroughfare commercial like I think of Aiken Augusta Highway or something along those lines. This use, regardless of whether or not it's going to be a truck stop or light industrial or warehouse or any other type of thoroughfare commercial type property, is not in character with, and that's a gateway into the city, and it's just not in character with what that gateway is. And so I don't really have any other questions other than just the statement that I can't see myself supporting it. I can't find a reason, I can't find a rationale in my head. And I think, and I'm not 100% sure, Tommy, but that other thoroughfare commercial property, with what it was ultimately developed as, really probably could have been general commercial, right? Because it's a insulation, I guess it's a warehouse, so maybe not.
I think with the particular, the warehouse or that construction industrial type,
So, okay.
So I think
Yeah,
that's
I
where
just,
that came from.
you know, and again, that was done in 2015 before I was even on council, so I wasn't part of that conversation. But I just think in general, that is not, that site is not conducive with the way that I read our code and the allowed uses under a thoroughfare commercial code. Traffic certainly is part of that calculus, but just its appropriateness for that parcel, it's just something I can't get comfortable with.
You know, if I could just add this, just that it needs to come off the table. There needs to be a decision made. And,
Yeah, I fully support taking it off the table
Yeah, yeah.
and moving on it, 100%.
Can I ask one question before we table it? The property that Kevin's talking about in 2015, does it back up? Because I know that's one thing Mr. Kendrick brought up. Why did y'all do it for this one and not me? I mean, that's, you know, so that, I mean, isn't it right there at the one we voted? And I hate to say, I can't remember.
Well, I mean, one of the reason, the difference is that that building, it's not generating 40,000
Traffic.
cars. I mean, it's a
Well, yeah.
business, but it's not, it's just a different type of
Well, I mean, that
business.
was a question he asked. You do for one, you need to do for the other. But also, one thing I'm concerned is high school traffic coming out there. Those young people in a big truck, 18-wheeler come through there. You know, that's scary to me.
I also think 2015 to now, there's a lot more residential on that side than there was in 2015. So now we do see that as another pocket of the city and another residential area. So I'm in agreement with Kevin.
Tommy, and the one thing, I'm not necessarily against it, but I'm sitting here going, that is going to be a bottleneck. You go from 4 to 2 right there where you're supposed to turn, you know, and DOT's saying, well, we need a light here, light here, light here, and that road probably needs to be widened to accommodate more of that traffic, because I know coming out Bergen Road in the mornings, I'm sure there's a line of cars coming out there, and now we're going to add supposedly, you know, 18-wheelers, but I just think this is one of those, I don't know if it's necessarily a bad idea, but there needs to be a lot of, I just don't like the idea of we're taking a chance on changing it, and then they may say, oh, no, we're only going to do what we have to, and then we end up with a problem where, you know, if we keep it PD, or, you know, if they were to come in here and say, we're going to do this, I might be able to look at it, but, you know, even last time he was here, they were like, well, we don't even know if we're going to build on it. So, I mean, we don't even know if they're planning on it, so
Tommy,
Kevin.
am I correct that if we approve the zoning change, the planning commission would be the only, since we would only be approving the zoning change, then if whatever the entity, whatever that looks like, the business going in front of the planning commission, they have the ability to approve with conditions, just like y'all did with the River Falls, hey, you've got to do this, this, and this. But that does not, this body is not allowed to do that. We're just strictly approving the thoroughfare commercial, correct?
Yes, sir, that's
Okay.
the way I understand it. Ms. Carpenter, if I can, before I sit down, well, on the Cohen property, that doesn't front on Martintown Road.
Okay.
Cohen fronts on Bergen Lake, so it's down there, and you don't really see it when you come into town.
Well, I mean, he
This
he
one
brought
is kind
that
of
up, yeah.
of the gateway.
But let me ask you this, and I know you're saying right now they're not saying what might go there, but we all sort of know what might go there, love. But thoroughfare is the only zoning for what he's thinking about doing.
Yes and no. With thoroughfare commercial, they could do truck repair. If they did away with truck repair, they could do the same thing in general commercial.
Yeah, because I really, David welcomed these hard decisions. You know, because it's people's land, and you don't want to be where I have to, no, you gonna do what I say, not what you want. You twix in between there with that. But then on the other hand, I don't want, like I said, I know all the cars from Bergen Place are coming down the hill to North Augusta Elementary. It's not like they're going 5-notch to Mossy Creek. So you've got all those parents and school buses, and so I agree with tabling the motion that we find out more.
No, we're not. We're taking it off the table.
Oh, take it off the table.
We've had it
Oh,
tabled.
vote- Okay, okay, all right, okay.
Well,
My
I say
bad.
that, we have to vote and table it.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, the intent is we'll take it off the table to begin to say yes or no.
But I mean, can we leave it on the table? I mean, does everybody feel comfortable voting no or
There's
yes?
legal concern, Kelly.
All right, my concern is, this is how old, Tommy?
Probably about 9 months.
All right. He's entitled to an answer. Yes or no, and then if we're wrong, if he wants to pursue it, he can pursue it. Or if you get granted to him, I'm, saying whatever you do, but you can't just keep putting it off. It's time to make the decision.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
But now, what is it? Do you have a year for the like if it got voted down, let's say next week, then would he have to wait a year before he come back and ask for something?
Yes and no again.
Good God, I got all yes, no questions. Okay.
If he came back and asked for a different zoning district, he'd come back within a year.
Okay.
If he couldn't come back and ask for the same
Same
zoning district.
zoning.
If the planning commission found that there's substantial changes, they could bring it back. And of course, if city council or planning commission decided to initiate a rezoning of that property, they wouldn't have to wait a year.
I had another question. Now, that side of the I-20, that exit ramp in Bergen, we just got a light there, but didn't there's a study for a traffic circle and all that would help with this, or what would end up happening there? That'd be further up the street?
Coming from the East Martin town, coming from the Columbia, that entrance. I mean, it's up, yeah, and then one on Gregory, just two.
David is right. The study did recommend the traffic circle at the exit ramp as well as Gregory Lake to reduce the number of lights.
Do we know where that is in the process, or how far along, or waiting for approval, or have any clue, or that's just still an idea?
Councilman, as far as the priority work for looking at SCDOT requirements, Knobcone and Martintown is the priority that the staff's been working on. There's some also discussion about the exit ramp westbound from I-20 onto Martintown Road that is concurrent with another project. But as far as the traffic circle at Gregory Lake and Martintown, that is not on the horizon anytime soon, if I was going to speak frankly.
Okay. All right, I just remember us talking about it, so I just wonder how far down the line that was.
We prioritized off that Martintown Road study, and our first priority was Knobcone.
But we still got, and this is a different matter, but the property owner there at Knobcone doesn't want to give up so much of her land. Remember that, Kelly?
Yeah, that's,
I mean, that might hold that project up.
no, because the planning commission, this is public, planning commission approved the second phase of River Falls. The condition was that River Falls will put a U-turn light at Knobcone. So when those folks leave River Falls, they can only go one way to the right. And there will be a U-turn for them and a red light, so that's gonna solve, quite frankly, initially, the issue with Knobcone. It doesn't impact the Martintown Road study that said, let's go down Country Club Drive, and that whole behind the scenes. That's where we need more land, and that's a bigger project. But everybody's been asking about a Knobcone red light. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that. And they're paying for it. But that's probably 18 months down the road.
What about the lady that owns the property right there?
That's not this. We're messing with the property. This is a
No,
U-turn
but it
light.
was, when we talked about this,
There's just
Yeah, but
there's just three lights there, not four. So you still got the T intersection. The intersection won't change. It might widen a little bit, but it won't affect her property in this phase of it. Doing the fourth leg of the intersection would be a whole different project. And that's where her property would be affected.
of course, she is deceased now, so it's the daughter.
That's
and
for
then
another thing.
Yeah.
So, any other questions for Tommy on this? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, that concludes our first item for the agenda review, and I'll move into department details, and Linda will kick it off for us for finance.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We will have disconnect for our Cycle 1 customers May 17th and May 18th. Our Cycle 2 customers will have a due date on May 19th. And also, our city tax bills were due May 1st, so a 15% penalty has been added to all those unpaid properties. That was on May 2nd, and then we will be sending out second notices for any unpaid bills by the end of this week. And that's all I have for you guys tonight.
Are there many unpaid taxes?
I actually don't know the number, or I don't know that, but I can pull that information and let you know.
Thank you, Linda.
All right, thank you.
Next up will be James Sutton for Public Services.
Good evening. We're scheduled with property maintenance staff to start the week of May 17th and continue through October 18th, mosquito spraying in various areas of the city. We've already had several requests from a lot of the residents to be added to a list to start spraying. So next week we'll start with that program. Hammond's Ferry soccer field, the water service line is a 2-inch line. It's connected to a 24-inch water main. It's a transmission line that supplies the upper reaches of the medium system up around Skagga Lake Road and supplies all the water to the customers on the north side of I-20, which is thousands of customers. The reason why, you may have seen that water run for the last several days. It's kind of twofold. We have a lot of activity going on at the soccer field, the restrooms, and in the same, we had to have a part that was manufactured for that main so we could relocate the service line and install a new connection. Anytime you de-energize a 24-inch main and drain it, we have to notify DHEC because of the number of customers that are connected to that system. And we also have to issue a bulk water notice. To avoid that, we allowed the leak to continue on for several days. It was not causing any property damage. We lost over about 400,000 gallons of water, which equates to a level $400 that cost to the city. It's a part of our operation, and utility staff are still on site right now, finishing up the repair, and we will get the road reopened before the end of the week.
So James, because a citizen was talking to me about the water spewing, city wasting a lot of water at the soccer field. So is that what you were talking about?
It is.
That you, okay.
Yeah, and when you get leaks like that and they start filling up a hole, and
But it wasn't like it was just no one was paying any attention to it. It was, I mean, because this was comment that.
Oh, no, but we knew the leak was there. It's something that anytime we have to repair anything connected to a 24-inch water main, we have to use caution.
Okay.
And we did so. We made the
Thank you.
administrative decision to, in the best interest of our water customers, to delay the repair until we had everything in hand to move forward for the safety of the install.
Yeah, I saw you guys working hard out there. In regards to, this might be a Rick Myers question too, the bathrooms there, those are on a timer for the locks. So are we sure that they're going to be locked while they're not in use? Because they're currently not in use, right? Okay. So just an FYI, those, I believe, if I'm right, those locks on those bathrooms are timer based. So if you want to avoid a lot of bad issues going on in the bathroom, want to ensure that they're locked up.
Well, I'd hate, excuse me, Summerfield Park was the same way. The bathrooms were locked more times than unlocked. So that got to be a problem when people were coming to the park. They could not use the bathroom. So what's the timing on that, Jennifer? Do you know? Or Rick? No, I know now not. The bathrooms are open. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure they do. So what about people like on the Greenway that have to use the bathroom? Do we have the pottlets still over there? So they can go use it? All right, okay. Because that is a problem when people on the Greenway and can't get in the bathroom. Or run faster.
Just for like clarification or future reference, so we let the water run for however many days you said because we were waiting on a part, and also so we wouldn't not have to bring in DHEC? You know, so we wouldn't have to boil the water, basically, we're just gonna let it run until we get it fixed, is that?
That's correct.
I just wanna know
Yes,
for
sir.
future reference.
Yeah, anytime our experience, we control the subject when it comes to the transmission main.
Yep, that's what I thought you meant, I just
And-
wanted to clarify.
Yes, sir.
In case this happens again, because my phone rang too, and I just want to be able to, if it happens again, hey, this is probably what's gonna happen.
Right, yes, sir. And, you know, we'll give a little better notification to y'all as well. And
Thank you.
that's starts with me.
Nope, good, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No.
Moving on, I hadn't brought this up in a while, but we're still working with our commercial businesses for the, more or less you'd say, the dilapidated enclosures that house the dumpsters. We've had 17 of 36 comply, and we're going to send out letters again this week, just remind them that they need to move forward, get in compliant with their dumpsters. But we prefer not to go with enforcement, but we will if we have to. So we're going to go one more round of letters, and then we're going to turn it over to our codes enforcement division if they don't respond after that.
Thank you, James.
Back to Tommy for planning and development.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and Council, we'll have the Planning Commission next week. And in case you get a call about a city pickup truck with fluttering banners and balloons and the party pickup, Landon, our code enforcement officer, did a sign sweep this weekend. And he got about 6 of those fluttering banners, and he got a couple of the fake balloons, and his truck looked like a party pickup when I came in this morning.
Let me ask you, Tommy, when
Yes, sir.
we, I'm just asking from knowledge, so when we pick those things up, do we follow up with some kind of letter stating, hey, this was picked up and you're with a not code versus them doing it again? I mean, how do we keep it from happening over and over?
Well, most of the people that put them out there know. That's why they're putting it out there on Sunday or Saturday.
Okay.
And that's why he came out on the weekend. But we pick them up and we take them out to the MRF, and then they can come and pick them up. And we do have conversations if it starts getting out of hand.
Oh, so y'all went by the weekend and picked them up?
Yes, sir.
Oh, we hadn't done that in years, have we?
No, we do
Wow.
we do that periodically because we get complaints from one real estate company that one
Some calls.
going by the rules, you know, so that we get everybody playing fair.
Okay. Very good, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Next time, over to Chief Thomas for public safety.
Good evening. I assume most of you know that Captain Lucky is retiring on June the 6th after 42 years of service. So we'll be honoring Captain Lucky. But in the meantime, I'm proud to announce that our newest captain, to my left, is Junior Johnson, who will be the new patrol captain.
Chief, get him to stand up. Let's give him a round of applause. All right, Captain. Woo! Congratulations, sir.
He is drinking from the fire hose right now, but he's going to be all right. I hope he doesn't drown. But he's transitioning.
Not the only
and,
one.
He'll be on board on the 7th. We're kind of giving him the lay of the land. August of 2023 is the expected go-live date for the Smart Cop. That's our new software, and we got a lot of work to do between now and August. This past Friday, you may have seen on the website, or maybe in Hammond Hills, our police officers and firefighters were there at a career day. It was very successful. We enjoyed doing that. And this got past me before I saw it late this afternoon, but the Green Jackets are holding their second educational day tomorrow at the stadium. I think the game starts around 11, but our folks will be there with training and some more police officers handing out some cop cards.
Chief, your folks do a great job, and that's why we have a community that supports our public safety, because y'all are out there and they know who you are.
Thank you so
we
much.
thank you for that, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We're done with the man of the hour, Rick Meyer for PRT.
Reminder, everybody, the Greenway is open dawn to dusk with the exception of the lighted riverfront Greenway. And I must admit that sometimes at dusk, I see plenty of people on the Greenway. But to be careful out there if you're after dark. This week is National Tourism Week, and we have a meeting Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. with our local tourism partners on how we can better collaborate to promote the excellent tourism assets that we have. I think some of you here, including Jen, are invited and hope to see you Wednesday morning. Bids for the Riverside Village Boat Dock will be received and read publicly out loud this Friday, May the 12th, at 10 a.m. at the Riverview Park Activity Center. And hopefully this time we get some competitive bidding for the boat dock. North Augusta High School girls softball team will be hosting Upper State semifinal game, the South Carolina High School playoffs, this Saturday at Riverview Park. And we made sure that the field was available for them this Saturday. PRT and property maintenance are teaming up to provide tree signs that will identify the different tree species along the Riverfront Greenway. The signs will also have a QR code on them. This project is part of the Tree City Growth Award for 2023, and I give Roy Kibler and his crew most of the credit for this. You probably see a little picture on the back of the signs, and they will actually be in the mulch beds around the trees and spiked in the ground, so they shouldn't present any problem. Yep.
Rick, as soon as I ask this question, I know you are going to have an answer for me, but is this something we can get on our social public information site so we could forward that out? Because that's a lot of interest from people.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
I was allowing you all to be the first to receive the information.
There we go. Riverview.
I said I knew it.
Oops, excuse me. Yep. The Activity Center this past weekend hosted a 160-team travel basketball tournament, and the tournament went into Sunday night. And with the limited staff we had available, the building didn't get completely clean until today. So just wanted folks to know that, we always try to make it so our members come in Monday in the building, it's like nothing happened. Well, this morning was a little different. We were a little underhanded with a late finish. The Activity Center has hosted 7 travel events so far. In 23, 5 basketball tournaments, 1 volleyball tournament, and 1 pickleball tournament. I want to remind people these events not only produce tourism economic impact for the city of North Augusta, but they also allow us to keep our activity center membership rates affordable and competitive. Riverview Park has also hosted 3 travel baseball tournaments so far in 2023.
That's good news.
Yes, thank you. Now, back to that soccer complex. We've talked about the water issue. We've talked about the bathrooms, trying to get folks straight. Give you a little update on the fields. And it really goes way back. These fields are built on rocky clay soil. I did not mention that here, but I wanted to make sure you understood that. So they've been a challenge from day one, but we've had a combination of factors this spring. One is the amount of use that we're getting in our athletic fields, and we realize and we own it that they're not up to their normal standards. The other thing that we've dealt with, this spring's been a little cool. We've had temperatures in the 40s at night until last night anyway. Hopefully this warm weather will help the grass begin to grow. We've also had issues lingering with the irrigation system there. It's an outdated system, and our folks have struggled with it, but we spent $14,000 back in the fall, and you're not going to see the fruit of that labor until we get through a growing season, adding topsoil with organic material to it to help dry the fields out, and that's kind of what we've got right now. We got fields that are dry, but they're little, not enough turf, not seeing right now, so we're not happy with them, but we feel comfortable that they'll be better in the fall. Down to the river event. Sports and Music Festival is coming up fast, June 2nd and 3rd in Riverside Village. This event begins on Friday, June the 2nd with a critical nice bike ride, the Hammonds Ferry Mile Road Race with cash prizes awarded to winners, and nationally recognized recording artist Jordan Felice in concert at the Sharon Jones Amphitheater. Saturday morning, June 3rd, we'll have a urban trail 5K and 10K run, and also paddle races on the Savannah River. You can go to any of the city websites, our Facebook pages, and there are links to register for all of these events. Questions?
Yesterday, I got a phone call about some swings down at the park across from Living History Park. I just want to see if you were aware of that.
Creighton.
Working swings.
Creighton Park?
Yeah. it's
Okay.
Creighton Park, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I had 2 phone calls about it. so
Yeah, you're down to one swing there. I was there with Ethan actually over the weekend, and he has some things he wants to bring to attention for that park, but it could
Yes.
use some help.
Well,
on that. But I also know it's been in y'all's budget, I think, for a while and keeps getting passed
yeah,
over,
been
so-
budgeted for a while, and on the sales tax 4 list, we know we really need a whole new playground there, to be honest with you. So want to get to that point at some time.
Rick, I don't have a question per se, just want to let y'all know, give Rick and Carl a attaboy. I had a customer Friday. They are both in a wheelchair, but they play tennis. And they went down to our local courts here on Buena Vista and found it a little difficult to traverse. I called Rick, and then I called Carl. Rick wasn't available, but Carl said, I'm going out there. He's already called me. They're going to fix it in-house where these people will have access. And Rick did call me back and say, I've talked to Carl. So just want to give you an attaboy for jumping on that and looking into that for some of our citizens.
No, we appreciate that. The courts at Riverview Park are easily accessible, but these gentlemen were doing the smart thing during the spring, trying to stay away from the crowd at Riverview Park, and the Buena Vista courts do need some work to make them more accessible. Yes. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Rick. Very good.
Over to Tom Zuser for Engineering and Public Works.
The Knob Cone Sidewalk project is still underway, still making progress. They're actually installing sidewalk now. In addition, so there'll be intermittent rolling lane closures off and on for the next month or two. In addition, city streets and drains crews are out there today and tomorrow doing some intersection patching at the Knob Cone Pisgah intersection. Bluff Avenue streetscape continues to proceed relatively smoothly. Contractor is installing storm drain, curb and gutter, and sidewalk. It's all underway right now. I had on my list to talk about detention pond maintenance. We have started doing our biannual detention pond maintenance, and so I was going to give our work schedule for the next couple weeks, but we've been sort of sidetracked on that. So due to employee medical leaves and other things, so we probably won't be doing a whole lot of detention pond maintenance for the next 2 weeks. And then again, a reminder that our household hazardous waste collection event is May 20th. That event, it's a Saturday. That's at the River Commons Shopping Center near Kroger.
It's like the earlier the better, right?
Yeah,
Until
I know it's normally done by 1 o'clock. I don't have the start time with me right now. But yeah, that event's open to all city residents, and you can bring any household item that you cannot, or maybe you can or can't identify that may or may not be hazardous, and you just don't know what to do with it. You can bring it, liquid waste I'm talking about. Use motor oil, things of that nature. Old paint is a very common item we collect.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate all you do, man.
10 a.m., Ms. Pat.
Last but not least, Kayla for HR.
In addition to the normal jobs that we have open, we have added an engineering inspector to that, so we're currently looking for one of those. But other than that, that is all I have.
Thank you.
That concludes our second item on the study session, and so we'll move into our Mayor's Matters focus item. And for that, I believe Margaret will probably be first up to bat, although I will turn the floor over to her to drive the train from here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's me again.
Thank you
I'm
for being
back. I want to quickly, of course, Margaret Key, Aiken Center, Alcohol and Drug Services. I want to introduce Tiffany Burt, who's here with us from DHEC. You probably came all the way from Columbia today, didn't you? I live here. Oh, okay, excellent. Back and forth. Tiffany is the Midlands Operations Director for Health Services for DHEC, State DHEC. And we are going to enjoy all the more working with Tiffany. Tamara Smith is a fellow North Augustan. She is the Executive Director of Aiken Barnwell Mental Health Center, and they're right next door to us in Aiken in their building. Since I have spoken to you before about the problems with substance use, I'm not going to go back there again, Mr. Buck. I think we gave you a couple of handouts. We're really here tonight not to talk about the problem, but to start talking solutions. And we're pretty excited about this partnership and the relationships we're developing. So we are here to say that the Mental Health Department, DHEC, and Aiken Center would like to propose that we partner to establish a North Augusta Health Services Center, a one-stop shop, co-location under one roof for mental health, substance use, and some health services from DHEC here in North Augusta. And we would welcome the opportunity to investigate with you the feasibility of that location being in the current Summary Court CID building that will be vacated once you move into the new public safety headquarters. We realize that there would be a whole lot of work and investigation and feasibility for the partnership in general and, of course, that particular building on all sides. But I was reminded in a long conversation with Representative Bill Hickson this past week that he said, Margaret, this is not a new idea. And I said, oh, okay, yeah. He said, we did this back in 1982 with the Hickson family and the Thurmans and a number of others that had a one-stop shop, multiple agencies, in fact, coming part-time from Aiken. And he said, I've got this plaque, in fact, from that building right here in my office, and went and read it. So it's one-stop shop, easy accessibility to behavioral health and mental health and substance use, those kinds. They had physical therapy there from the Hitchcock Rehab at the time. It's not a new idea, but it's a time to rethink that and to try to create something that lasts in North Augusta, and that sustainability is something he and I talked about a bit too. Access, when I was here last time, we talked about access, which has to do with a place, a nest, and boots on the ground, as we said. So we're ready to try to partner and do both, and we're very much interested in that building if that's a possibility for you and for us. And with that, I'm going to stop talking and let Tamara and Tiffany come up, and then we'll be available to have any discussion.
I was just about to ask you want to let Tamara and Tiffany talk, and then we
Just
can ask
real
questions
briefly.
after
Let's
that?
do.
How about that? Yeah.
That would be
Let them
great.
take their
Thank
time. We're in no rush.
Well, good evening. I'm Tamara Smith. I'm the director at Aiken Barnwell Mental Health Center. We are a state agency. We're part of the South Carolina Department of Mental Health. We do provide outpatient services, mental health outpatient services to children, family, adolescents, and adults. We have 3 primary locations. Our main office is in Aiken, the city of Aiken. We have a satellite office in Barnwell, and we have an office here in North Augusta. Our office in North Augusta serves about 1,000 people each year, and we provide about 6,000 contacts. We're currently at 431 West Martintown Road. I think that's the old Trotter building. Our landlord is Mr. Trotter. We've simply outgrown the building at this point in time. There's no room for growth or expansion. We have very small offices, which does limit our ability to provide family therapy and group therapy. There's no group space. We have limited parking. If you drive by right now, you might question that simply because you're going to see some empty space. I have vacancies that need to be filled. We are also looking for something affordable. We currently pay around $3,000, Mr. Trotter. We receive about 50% of our money in state allocations funneled through the General Assembly through the Department of Mental Health. And then we have to earn the remainder of that 50% through our billing. Just to give you some information about mental health, you know, we've been through this global pandemic for the past 3 years, a period of sustained stress. And I think if you turn on the news, the radio, you will hear about multiple mental health crises in our country today. I truly believe that we are there. We see an increased demand for mental health services, people walking through our door left and right. 1 in 5 people will experience a mental health issue in any given year. So if you look at your population, that's about 5,000, 5,200 people in the city of North Augusta that you would expect to have a mental health issue. About 50% of people with severe mental illness also have a co-occurring disorder. And so that's why we feel like it would be so important to be co-located with Margaret. About 25%, people who have comorbid health issues and a serious mental illness die about 25 years sooner than people who don't. So having that one-stop shop really does make things far more accessible, provides the opportunity for collaboration, as well as to utilize our resources efficiently. As you have less money, if we pull our resources together, then we could better serve the people in the community. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll let Tiffany speak, and then if you have any questions about the mental health center, I'll be glad to answer.
All right, great.
All right,
Thanks,
thank
Tamara.
you. Oh, one more thing. I did want to give a special shout out to Chief Thomas and his team. We do have a 24/7, 365 mobile crisis team. We respond to psychiatric crisis in the community. And the majority of the calls that I've been on, and these were 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning that were out in your communities, there's insight. Your officers recognize the mental health need. They're calling us. And what we're able to do in some cases is divert people from jail or even the hospital, and that really does save your officers time from having to be on the scene as long as having to transport that person and wait for booking and things of that nature. But I just want to give them a shout out because they do a fantastic job. I've worked with many of them at night, and very professional, respectful, and insightful. So thank you.
Thanks, Tamara.
Good evening to Mayor Williams, the city council members, staff, and any North Augusta residents that we have here today. My name is Tiffany Burt, and I'm one of the operations directors for the Midlands region. And I'm also a registered nurse at DHEC. The Midlands region is one of 4 regions that are comprised of DHEC. In the Midlands region, Aiken County is one of the counties that I oversee. So today, I've come here to speak in favor of the co-location of health services to include agencies like DHEC, Aiken Center, and Aiken Barnwell Mental Health. We currently have a health department that is located in Aiken, South Carolina. It's on Buford Street, if you're not aware. And at the health department, we do have various services, which include preventive services like family planning, STD treatment and prevention, immunizations. I'm sure you've heard a lot about COVID and monkeypox and all the other routine vaccinations for children and adults. We also have maternal child health, TB, vital records, and women and the WIC program, which is women, infants, and children. So we offer all those services. And in many years past, we did have a local health department here in North Augusta. And so, as you know, North Augusta has significantly grown over the years. And I know that, you were talking about traffic and things of that nature. So, you know that is a true statement. As far as Aiken County is concerned, if you've done a little research, you know that land mass is comparable to the state of Rhode Island, and it's also the 4th largest county in South Carolina compared to the land mass. And so as a resident of North Augusta for over 30 years and also a public health servant, and in public health, we understand that there are social determinants of health, such as healthcare access that greatly hinders the overall health of a community. So with that being said, I truly have a vested interest in ensuring that the vision of DHEC, which is healthy people living in healthy communities, is fulfilled, and especially in the city of North Augusta, because I live here and I love North Augusta, just to add that. The co-location of a healthcare center would be one step closer to narrowing that gap of social determinants that causes a barrier for some of our community residents. So thank you, everyone, for your time and your attention.
Okay, thank you. Margaret, I got, come on up. I'll let you, I'll start off. I got a couple questions. First of all, Tamara, thank you. I like the one-stop shop name, though, that's kind of catchy. Are y'all going, if you consolidate someplace, will you close the Hartsog building? Will that continue to stay open? You'll just use it as a satellite to a satellite?
We would close that building.
Okay. And what, Margaret, I'm going to let you do this. Paint for me a word pictures of what would it look like? Meaning, what would it look like y'all in a joint building there? Meaning, are people driving up, coming in? Are they going to be walking in? Is there going to be a section out front where people will be smoking cigarettes? I mean, give me a feel for what is it going to look like as far as people coming, going, buses pulling up, people walking from the street? Are they going to be driving? You see what I'm saying? Give me an idea of what you envision that if y'all came together.
Yeah, we haven't gotten into that kind of detail, other than when we did have a nice tour of it. One of the beauties of that building, we thought, would be that you have the lower entrance and the upper entrance. So if someone were, most people that come to our services either drive or have friends drive them, or Best Friend Express stops, or the public transportation. And so we don't have, where we are, of course, many walk-ins. But we could have an entrance, like, for instance, I'll just make something up. The upstairs portion, the upper level, could be Aiken Center and the health department, and the lower level could be a separate entrance if you were coming to mental health services. And we would share some group room space. So, for instance, Aiken Center, we might want to have our ADSAP DUI classes in the evening or even Saturday mornings. And they tend to not have evening and morning hours, but so we would have common spaces that we might both use that would be group spaces. And then, but in general, my vision, I think, was what I described in terms of two different entrances. And is that about?
And Tiffany, you would take part of what DHEC is currently servicing there, or will you have a full range? Give me an example. What services would people be coming there for y'all, for you?
Initially, we would start off with a few of those services. Of course, some of them, like preventive health services and immunizations, we would definitely offer those services, and we could probably add on to those services as time progressed, and if we saw the need was there. So definitely.
You asked about smoking too. Mental health, we're tobacco-free campus.
Okay.
Smoking. And we do have patients that utilize the Medicaid vans that come in for treatment as well. So there would be some van traffic there.
Okay, thank you.
Do you need a location? You know, a lot of times people feel real insecure, especially your area, walking in on a public street. I mean, would there be a way, that not so public that everybody, sort of like the HIPAA law there?
Well, I will tell you, it provides more privacy.
Yeah.
Location on Buena Vista as opposed to, we're sitting on Martintown Road. And the building's called Hartsog Center, of course. It's named after Mr. Hartsog, who helped establish the facility in North Augusta, I think, in 1978. We had some patients very upset when we put Aiken Mental Health Center on our sign.
Right.
They did not want that on there because
And
there's a lot of stigma regarding mental health.
okay. Another thing, the building you were talking about, the old public safety, and Chief, is that a healthy, that building is in rough shape. I'd hate to see you go in there.
I think the building they're talking about, Ms. Pat, is the CID building along with the courts and records, which I've walked these two ladies through this and talked with them and kind of shown them around. So it'd be a better spot there as opposed to where I'm at.
So if they took that spot,
We got Chief.
how would you so that meant the whole building would stay there then?
The CID and the courts.
But I'm talking about where you are.
I have no idea what the plans are with headquarters.
But is it where you can cut off? That would be a problem, I think. But I think that's wonderful because I deal with a lot of people y'all deal with. but especially the health department, because the people I deal with a lot of times have no cars. And trying to get to Aiken, that was such a blessing when they were here in North Augusta. And when they took off to Aiken, that just broke my heart. But I think this would be wonderful, combining the three. You're gonna touch a lot.
You spoke on the kind of the stigma around mental health. Is there any data or statistics on your current locations for safety for surrounding areas? Because I think that would probably be the misconception of citizens in that area, and with the Greenway right there and things like that. Just.
Yes, I can answer that.
Tamara, speak in the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're watching TV land. We're
I'm
live
sorry.
streaming you. So you got 25,000 people listening to you.
There sometimes is a misconception that people with mental illness are more violent, and it's opposite. They tend to be more victims of violent crime. 93% of people who have a serious mental illness do not commit violent crimes. It's around 7%. So, and I'll tell you right now, we're in your neighborhoods. You'd be surprised at where we go for mobile crisis calls, but that does not mean that people are dangerous or violent. That just means that they need some mental health treatment, possibly hospitalization, safety plans, and such.
So, and I'll just piggyback. I think one of the reasons she's asked is just let me kind of bring you up to speed a little bit, even since we've talked. So, you know, the revitalization of East Martintown Road and Buena Vista, kind of, you know, we're seeing on East Martintown, you know, with Freddy's and things are happening, but on East Buena Vista, the bluegrass, which is the mixed use right up the road, is going to be happening. There's some Greenway connection. Now, since just in the last couple months, whether you may or may not know, last month, we sold the property that currently is where the original public safety headquarters is going to be. So if you're coming down Buena Vista past the two buildings, you turn right, like you go on the River Club, that building, I mean, that space on the left is going to be sold. And our understanding with the developer who owns the land right past it, that could be some kind of residential mixed use. So what we're beginning to see a lot of interest in with infill is density in our downtown, which is a good thing. If you go up where the ledges are, up the road not far from there, you know, you got people buying property, building new houses. So all those are good things. So what I'm saying is, I think one of the discussions that we'll have as a council, because we want to be prudent with whatever we do, is what does that look like? Meaning that facility in that location where things are really growing. And I see where it could be very positive, but I be quite frank, I could see how that could be considered negative too, depending on how you want to look at it. So I think we're all supportive of the one-stop shop. I love it. It's just that we got to figure out, you know, what does that look like. So I just kind of want y'all to be aware of some changes, quite frankly, in the last couple months, because we never thought that we were going to sell that property, and now that is sold. So we're going to start seeing more revitalization of that East Martintown Road corridor coming forward. So,
if I could just add one other note too, I would love to, thank you, Mr. Mayor, I'd love to paint the vision of this being a healthy wellness center that could have preventative classes, family classes, I'm thinking about my husband, Buddy, is here. He's about to be chairman of the board for Aiken County's Senior Life Services, and already trying to bring more for seniors over here. He's expanding Meals on Wheels and the congregate. There's so many opportunities for what it exudes is about health and wellness and destigmatizing substance use. We have recovery groups. There's something called Smart Recovery and parents of addicted loved ones. There's so many things that could be happening there that you don't really know who's going in the building and what for, because they can just be a lot about just health promotion. So that's the vision I would love to leave you with.
Yeah, well, that was what I was looking for, so I appreciate it.
I got just one thing before y'all leave. Couple things. One, and maybe Junior Chief might be able to answer this, but you know, most of y'all know my wife's an ER nurse, and so when they get the real mental patients, I don't know if we've ever taken them over to the hospital, but, you know, they get some. And, you know, unfortunately, the hospitals probably have way more than, that's probably what people are thinking when they think mental health problems, I'm assuming, you know. But the other thing I wanted to ask too, if we were to, come to an agreement on this, do we need to pay to remodel it, or is that on y'all, or are you just gonna make do with what we have?
Well, I mean, I would, there's a lot of devils in the details kind of
Yeah,
stuff, yeah.
that's a weeds, yeah, we
I
don't
will
comment
say, so when I was with county council several years ago, we began discussing the need for substance use services in Western County. And I do have several $100,000 in ARPA money that Aiken Center could contribute toward renovations and furnishing if this comes to be. Now, I know the clock's going to start ticking, and you probably have, was it 2025 you expect when the building is vacated? Is that? Yeah, so I have to say, our legislative delegation, their message to me and to us is, tell us how we can help. This is needed. Western County's growing. Tell us how we can help. So I'm thinking it's not just if you build it, they will come. But if we have this plan, I think we can work on the resources, and that may be the least challenging bits of what we want to do. I'm speculating.
Very good. Anybody else for these young ladies? All right. Again, thank you very much for what you do. And Margaret, I tell you, Steve and his board hit a grand slam when they hired you.
Oh.
You have brought Aiken Center to the forefront. You've kept the communication piece down across the board, and you're letting people know about it. And it's a dire need, there's no doubt. So anyway, thank you for your help. Appreciate it. Anything else on your end?
Nothing from administration, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I've got just two things to close us out, but any comments by council? Good. All right, just want to reiterate again that on May the 20th at Saturday evening, Thunder over Evans, so a big fireworks deal. So if you like fireworks, that's a great one for the whole community. And then if you know people who are, I hate to say younger, it doesn't have to be younger, but leadership folks who are developing their leadership abilities, there's going to be a new Leadership North Augusta program, which is kicking off, and that's going to start May the 18th at Cavaliers. A welcome there to kind of talk about that. That's been done through North Augusta Forward. And it's going to be real different. It's going to be a lot of networking. There's going to be a lot of speakers. So if you know folks who need to be involved and are interested, please, you can go, I'm sure you go to the North Augusta Forward Facebook page and find out more about it. Want to be aware of that. And the last thing is, thank you all for being here. And as always, as we said last time, this council, we are for North Augusta.